So Andrej, welcome. How are you?
Very good, thank you, Anna. How are you?
Wonderful. Thank you. You do have quite the beautiful view outside, I see.
Yeah, it's not too hard to be in isolation here. And that's the whole reason we wanted this place. Like, obviously, we work online and from home all the time. And so we've had all the years to kind of find the ideal place and set up our ideal home office. And here we are.
Well, you've been planning for this for a while then.
We
Good
have,
work.
we have.
So tell me a bit about you and your business.
Okay, so I used to be a cancer research scientist. So in 2008, I started going to some internet seminars, like spurred on by Karen, and learning how to do online stuff. This is just in the launch days of the internet. And so pretty early on, we kind of thought, wow, this is really interesting. And so we went to loads and loads of seminars and eventually found the person who we wanted to invest with and we wanted them to teach us. And they gave us like a formula to research like an empty niche online and build an information product around that. And so in 2008, I launched my first product online and started to advertise that. And so to start with, this is before before Facebook even existed. And so literally it was just Google before Facebook. And so that kind of got us really excited. We started making money straight off the bat. And started to build our business and then built out the ebooks into like a fully blown e-commerce store. And so it was doing so well, we were both able to quit our jobs and decided to go traveling. And so we spent about 10 years in Asia. We set up a couple of bricks and mortar businesses in Laos and then started really having success and started talking to other business owners about what we were doing and how to structure the ads and how to write the right things. And so essentially more people started asking us for help and how we do what we do. And so that kind of led us to go, hey, why don't we start doing ads? Like, why don't we start an ad company? Because as a scientist, I love the data, I love the analysis, and that is what fuels all the ads and all the sales. And so, yeah, we're really into it, absolutely love it. And so we basically have been doing it for lots and lots of clients and been getting amazing results, and we just love it. So it's really cool.
Awesome. So as the ad master and in a time of people needing to potentially pivot their strategy and reassess it, talk us through what ads are working well right now in the midst of uncertainty.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. Like the thing is, at the moment, so many advertisers who weren't doing a good job have pulled out of Facebook and Google. So now, like the cost per acquisition or the cost per whatever you're trying to achieve on Facebook has actually got a lot cheaper. So now is a really, really good time to sort of jump in there with ads. But obviously you've got to be able to fulfill everything. So if you can't ship from home, then there's no point. So if you can do it, you should be doing it. And so the ads that are working right now, so obviously at this time with COVID-19, messaging is quite important. And so we need to be talking to the elephant in the room, right? So we need to kind of address what's happening. So things like, are you bored at home? How about you try this? Are working quite nicely. And so we essentially need to relate to people's situations and empathize with them. And so you can kind of say, look, are you guys stuck at home? What's going on? Are you stressed out about this? And if you talk to the elephant in the room, then people are going to have comfort in what they see in your ad. And so they're going to be more tempted to keep reading. Okay. So basically also at the moment, the best the best ad types that are working for us are static images. And so that's just a single image with the call to action at the bottom. And so at the moment, they're outperforming all other ad types for my clients. So that comes down to, so to have the awesome static image ad, you need to have awesome imagery. So we're finding that imagery is increasingly important and helps you outcompete the big guns. So we recommend everyone should hire or outsource like a good graphics guy, because it's just worth it when your ad creative oozes class and stops thumb scrolling. So basically the more time and effort you put into the images into your ads, the better they'll perform. So that's what we're seeing at the moment, because there's so much out there. And so if we can kind of like stop thumb scrolling through the feed with our imagery, then that's working really well. Shall I continue?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So the other ad type that's working really nicely for e-commerce right now is carousel ads. And so that's where you literally have lots and lots of cards at the bottom of the ad that people can scroll through. And those are working really nice to kind of give people different messages or different products to have a look through. And so they're super effective when you've got a multi-product or multi-faceted offer. So we love doing customized cards, and it's an ad effect. And as an ad effect, if you can scroll through and there's like everything kind of like links to the other one, then that's working really nicely at the moment. So carousel ads are doing well. So the next thing that's working really well at the moment is the human touch. So obviously at this time, people are stressed, people are worried. And so we have to inject human elements into our advertising so that people kind of let their guards down. And so instead of coming across as all corporate, you're coming across as a human. And that's what people want right now. So talk to people, ask them questions. Talk to the people through the ads instead of just making your offer, and that helps with humanizing your brand as well. Right, so if you, at the moment, if you have, like, for example, an e-commerce store, if you're doing dynamic retargeting using carousel and catalog ads, they're going to be your absolute bread and butter right now, because the dynamic retargeting shows people exactly what product they're looking at on your website in an ad with your offer. So those things are working right now. So what I recommend people do is double down on the audiences that are working best. Anything that's currently not giving you a positive return on ad spend, literally pause or scale it down and then really focus on what is working and just concentrate on your core audiences as well, like your core best performing audiences. Right, so at the moment, the most effective headlines, because obviously when it comes to an ad, the headline is very important, secondary only to the imagery, okay? So right now what we're seeing is that the most effective headlines are benefit plus offer. So for example, oh my God, I screamed as I put it on my face, get 10% off today, okay? So you're giving people like a benefit and then your offer, and that's working well because they're kind of seeing what it can do for them, and that's answering the question in their head, but they also see that you've got something for them, and those seem to be the headlines that are working best right now. So when it comes to your ad copy, I'm not sure if all of you guys have realized now, but Facebook has brought out a new rule which literally has the first 3 lines of your ad showing before you have to click on read more. So those first 3 lines are the ultimate real estate, okay? So what we're seeing at the moment is having those first 3 lines as being super punchy, like for example, asking a question or pre-framing your audience with something like imagine if, and then a 1-2 punch following that with your unique sales proposition to get people reading more, and then introducing your offer before bulleting all your benefits below. Following that, reasons to take action, and then following up with any proof or urgency, and then a call to action, usually with the link below it, seems to be working the best, okay? So for example, for your first 3 lines, you could ask a question. Are you guys stuck at home? Are you bored at home? Something like that. Or imagine if you could grow your business from home 3 times over the next 3 weeks or something like that. So your first 3 lines are super crucial. And then what we've seen is benefits that are bullet pointed, so people can kind of just quickly glance through and read them all, are working really well at the moment. So that's what I recommend you guys do. Come up with that amazing punchy 3 lines at the top. Don't forget your unique sales proposition, your offer, and then your benefits all bulleted, and then call to action in the text. Like if you want to learn more, click here, and then include the link in that text too. And those ones are working the best at the moment. So it's generally like medium to long sales copy. So short ads work really nicely for promotions right now, but generally the more you can put into your ads right now, because people are at home, they've got time to read, the better they'll do, essentially. Okay, so the next easy thing to do to make ads that are working really well right now is using emojis that express the important part of your ad. So for example, okay, are you thinking about growing your business? And you can do like the thoughtful face, using emojis to kind of express like the most important aspects of the ad, kind of just add extra emotion into the ad, and those are working really, really well at the moment. So I would recommend do not even bother testing ads that don't use emojis versus emojis. Always use emojis because at the moment they're doing really, really well. Okay, so as I just touched on, unless it's a promotion, so medium to long copy ads are working best at the moment because they're talking through the benefits and the features and explain exactly why it's a no-brainer to purchase or sign up with you, okay? So put more detail into those ads at the moment because that's what's working well. Right, another thing that's working well, if you're emailing people at the moment, then back up those emails with ads. So for example, your email audience also gets to see ads in the same context of your email, because they'll get the email, then they'll see the ad as well. And it's kind of like the 1-2 punch to kind of get them to take that action you want. So make sure you're backing up emails with ads. On to the next thing. So dynamic content ads. I'm not sure if you guys know what those are, but that is a relatively new feature of Facebook. So when you write an ad, it gives you the option to insert 5 different headlines, 5 different versions of ad copy, 10 different images, different calls to action, different descriptions. And so what Facebook does with this is automatically optimize and display the best combinations best. And so what I'm seeing at the moment with all my bottom of funnel campaigns, so that's all your super hot retargeting audiences. So these dynamic content ads where Facebook can go through with its algorithm and choose which headline and which image and stuff to use best are working great. They're outperforming anything else. So make sure that your retargeting and your bottom of funnel with your super hot audience stuff, you're using the dynamic content option. Right, so the next thing is loyalty campaigns. A lot of people do not bother doing a loyalty campaign. Like for example, I've got a skincare company, and so we're sending ads out to people who have purchased from day 31 to 180, and they're coming back and we're inviting them back to buy, to stock up, and they also get a VIP discount. So that's something at the moment you need to be doubling down on your best audiences, and your existing customers are massive. And so if you can go out to your existing customers and say, hey guys, just reminding you that we're here. If you run out of our amazing product, don't forget you can stock up more. Here's 5% because we value you, you're our VIP. And these are working really, really nicely. And you should be getting the cheapest cost per conversion with your hottest audiences like these guys at the moment. Okay. And that's pretty much it for what ads are working best right now.
Awesome. I really take away that advice around, humanizing your messaging. It's so important right now. We've got to meet the market where they are. So what platforms are working best right now?
Good question. Right. So Facebook mobile newsfeed is working the best. Everyone's at home. Everyone's in their Facebook groups, talking to their communities, to their neighbors and stuff like that. And so Facebook mobile is where it's at the moment. So you want to look best here. So basically when you do create an ad, you essentially want to optimize that ad like visually to the mobile newsfeed. And so what you can do there is when you create the ad in your ads manager, you just look at the little preview, and then you can make sure, for example, your headline fits exactly and your first 3 lines of the ad text exactly fit that mobile optimization. And then if you basically make the ad so it looks as good as possible on mobile, that is what you want to do. So also for Instagram, if you have a visual brand or a visual product, Instagram stories are absolutely kicking ass right now too. And that's also because it's a bit more human, like stories are a bit different, they're a bit interesting. And so people are like giving them a lot of gravity at the moment. So the other thing you can do, and the other thing you probably should be doing, is literally be following people around the internet. So for example, I just talked here before about like the mobile newsfeed for the Facebook ads being your most best option. Also include Facebook, what's it called? Content audiences. And so basically that just means that you're appearing in apps, you're appearing in games, you're appearing in articles people have clicked to read, like for example, about the virus. Click to read, and then you'll kind of come up in those articles as well. So also the audience network of Facebook is working really, really well at the moment, because then people will see your ad in the news feed, and then they'll click onto like a website or an article that they want to read, and then they'll also see your ad pop up there. So essentially you're kind of following them around the internet, and that's working really nicely. And if you're also doing Google ads, then Google, like using Google and Facebook together is a beautiful way of following people around, so they can kind of see your ads in different contexts, and that gives them the impression that essentially you're like big and famous and everywhere. And it's quite easy to do, and they work really well. Because at the moment, it used to be people took 10 touch points with your business to be confident to make a purchase, but now that's getting up to like 20 and 30. So essentially, the more places you can be that people will see your ad, the better it's going to work. Okay, so if people are online searching for the solution that your business or products offer, you need to be on Google Ads right now. So Google Ads works really well if people are looking for you, looking for a solution that your business fits into. So if you're trying to find an audience of people, Google's not going to be your friend, Facebook's going to be your friend, but Google is great for kind of jumping in at the, I want to solve this problem, and then your product or service comes up and that's working really, really well. So at the moment, Google's search volume is down about 25%. I think that has increased over the last week or so. And so now my Google guys have told me that Google is starting to perform really well too, because we did actually early on in the COVID crisis, what we were seeing is people weren't searching for products anymore. They're searching for like the virus and what to do and stuff like that. But now people are back searching for products. So now's the time to basically turn Google back on, or start with Google if you haven't before. If you are looking to sell your services to other businesses, have you tried LinkedIn ads? Like LinkedIn ads, it's kind of a clunky platform, but it's a really good way of getting in front of other businesses, whereas Facebook is much more business to consumer. Instagram is much more business to consumer. But if you're trying to reach other businesses, definitely try LinkedIn ads right now too, because LinkedIn is also seeing a lot of advertisers jump off. So now is the time to kind of like get above the noise and kind of test that. So essentially what I recommend you do is start with lots of different things, and then test and measure your channels. So see what channels are working the best, and cut them off fast. Like if they're not performing for you, cut them off quickly, so then you can focus on what is working.
Great.
Right, the other thing is, okay, so where your ads performing? Well, that depends. Who are your people? Who's buying from you? Have you even looked? So is it men? Is it women? What age group are they? So essentially, you can go through all your data and go, okay, well, 80% of my purchases occur from people aged 45 to 55. So literally exclude everything else. If you're getting more than 75% from males versus females, then exclude everything. So at the moment, we need to be doubling down on what's working. And that's another way to do it. Like, who are the people who are responding? Get rid of the rest of them, because Facebook loves to spend lots of money on everything. And so if you tell them, okay, stop sending it to people who are younger than 20, then that's going to increase your results off the bat.
So what are the other key elements that we need to consider to ensure that our ads are successful?
Bloody good question. So the most important thing is having the right audiences. So essentially, when you start advertising, you'll blanket lots and lots of different audiences and send your message out to everyone. And then over time, we'll see who's responding, who's purchasing and stuff like that. So you really need to focus on your best audiences right now. And so that would be your Facebook page engagers and ad engagers in the last 14 days. Also Instagram. That would also be people who have watched at least 50% of your video over the last 14 days. If you haven't already, and you're a business who sets up ads to get people to buy stuff, and so you're looking for purchases, you can create, you probably already know this, but you can create a lookalike audience of the people who've purchased from you in the last 60 days. And so Facebook will find the top 1% or the top 10% of whatever country or territory of people that look like your purchasers. And so what we've been seeing over the last month is that lookalike audiences are performing really, really well at the moment. So what I would say to you is create a lookalike audience of people who have purchased from you, and have it set at 5%. So 5% is huge. That's the top 5% of whatever country. But because that audience is so big, the algorithm has a chance to kind of dip in there and find all the best people. So essentially what we're looking for at the moment too is to cut costs by literally having huge audiences. And so the algorithm can kind of go in there and pick and choose. And so people who look like your existing customers are working really, really well right now. Okay, so moving on to the next step is the right funnel structure. So basically every time you do ads, you essentially you need an ad funnel. And so, okay, if you're looking for leads for your business, then at the top of your funnel will be like very broad, cold audiences. And then you show them bits of content that either make them watch your video or visit your website. And then you retarget those video viewers or website viewers with different ads. So at the moment, if you're looking to generate leads, put out some cool videos at the top of funnel, and then everyone who's watched at least 50% of your video, then you retarget them with your lead ads. And so this is a way to like build authority and trust really fast. And then the people who have already watched most of your video are much more likely to sign up with you. And then also if you're doing e-commerce, you should have generic stuff going out at your top of funnel to cold audiences, and then literally hit your engagers hard, hit your website viewers hard, hit people who've visited, who've added to cart or viewed content. So these are all your best audiences, your email list. And so basically you've got to have the entire funnel set up so that you're spending, say, from 60 to 80% of your budget on your cold audience, and you're spending 40 to 20% of your budget on your retargeting and your bottom of funnel. And so what I recommend you do as well at the moment is spend more money on the bottom of your funnel, like push it as far as you can, because those guys are going to convert best. So what Facebook's been telling me at the moment for all my ad accounts, because I've got a couple of Facebook reps who I work with regularly, they're basically saying that if you do spend more of your budget than you ordinarily would at the bottom of funnel, at the moment it's working quite well. And so essentially that's spending more money on these best audiences, and it's kind of taking them up to saturation point, but not saturating them. So at the moment, spend a wee bit less money at the top of funnel and more money at the bottom of funnel, just to double down and protect your investment. Okay, so the other important point to remember is that when we are looking for the right audiences and the right funnel structure, we have to set up exclusions, right? So that means that all your cold audiences, you exclude people who visited your website in the last 180 days. You exclude everyone who's already engaged with your page or your ads. And so essentially each audience is different and unique. And so you're not competing with everything. What you're doing is basically saying, okay, I want this audience, but not this. And so essentially that means every ad group will have a different audience, and that will give you better coverage and stop you wasting money by competing different ad groups. And so that's really important at the moment, because there's a lot of money to be saved in structuring your ad accounts correctly. The next thing we have to do at the moment is make sure we have the right optimization. And this is such a common mistake I see. So if you're selling products, optimize for purchases, optimize for conversions, and then set purchases as your optimization event. If there's not enough or that's not working, experiment with add to carts. So set up your ads, it's going out to your cold audience, and you're trying to get them to add to cart. So that's the optimization strategy you're looking and you should test with at the moment. Okay, if you want people to visit your website, make sure instead of like optimizing for clicks, you're optimizing for landing page views. So optimization can really have a huge impact on your bottom line. So essentially, have a play around with your optimization, but if you're selling products, you should always be optimized to conversions. If you're looking for leads, you should be optimized for the highest volume possible. And if you're looking to sell your services, then you should be looking at, okay, if you've got a video, for example, then you're optimizing for through views. So you're optimizing for people who are going to watch the entire video. And so you have to be smart with your optimization, because some of them will just waste your money. And then if you crack down to exactly what the event that you want people to do and then optimize for that, that should work well at the moment. Right. So the other thing we all need to be doing at the moment, and why are ads working so well, is because we're constantly split testing our creative. Okay. So when I say creative, I mean the static images, the videos, the carousels, the catalogs, whatever the visual assets of the ads are. And so we need to be constantly split testing those different images, and don't have a preconceived idea of what's going to work best, because the market will always tell you you're wrong. So essentially experiment, experiment, experiment. Even images that you think aren't going to work well, you have no idea until you've tested them. So be testing lots and lots at the moment. That's going to get you your best results. And so moving on, testing ad type. So as I said before, we're getting the best results from static images at the moment. We've already tested videos. We've already tested carousels. We've already tested catalogs. So so there's, I think, 4 or 5 different ad types, and you should always experiment using each one to start with. Have enough data through it so you can actually see what's happening, and then go, okay, well, this works best. We're going to concentrate on this. So essentially, it's a big experiment, and you should consistently be experimenting right now. So just to give you guys a clue on how I make decisions when I come to ads, and what ads I should turn off, what ads I should scale, what ads I should duplicate. So data is what I'm doing. So every day I'm checking my accounts, making data-driven decisions. So I'm looking at click-through rates to the link, cost per clicks of the link, cost per action, and most importantly, return on ad spend. And so this is all done in the last 30-day window. Sorry. So the reason we use the last 30 days is because literally that's a rolling window, and that's showing us what's working well at the moment, because things change. And obviously, as you know, with COVID-19, buyer sentiment has changed. Lots of things have changed. And so if we're constantly looking back in the last 30 days to see what's working, then we can make like a really good evolution with our account. So yeah, that's how I'm doing it. So literally looking every day, looking at the data, and then I've got my my window set to the last 30 days. And so from that, I'm making decisions on what ads to go on with and what ads to turn off.
So we have permission to be more obsessed with our data.
Absolutely.
At the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Like don't be afraid to kind of like dig in there and look at stuff and play with things, because that's how you learn. Like when I started Facebook ads, it was so fundamental and basic and clunky, but now it's so advanced. And the way you learn is literally by pressing things and finding out things and trying new things. And so don't be scared. You cannot stuff it up ever. And so just try new things, testing all the time. Never not test. The other thing that everyone needs to be doing right now is leveraging Facebook's algorithm more. And so basically that just means fewer, bigger audiences. And so, okay, here's an example. Say I set up an ad to sell cars, and I've got loads and loads I've got 10 different audiences. Okay, so I fed in my email list, and I said, okay, I want you to find people who are the top 1% of New Zealand who look like this email list, and then 2%, and then 3%, and then 4%. And so essentially the traditional way of doing ads is loads and loads of different audiences, and then you kind of like pick between them and turn them off and on as to what's performing best. But what Facebook is telling me at the moment, that the fewer audiences you have, but the bigger they are, gives the algorithm much more scope to go in there and optimize within that. So the algorithm is so good now that you don't need to micromanage it anymore. And so, for example, if you've got, okay, let's make a lookalike audiences of the top 1% of New Zealand who've looked like my purchases over the last 60 days. So I'd say don't use the 1%, use the 5%. Keep the audience a little bit more bigger than you would normally, to give the algorithm lots of scope to go in there and find these people. And so also you have less audiences, so there's less overlap and less competition, and that's going to keep your ad costs as low as possible. Right, and the final thing, why are my ads working? Because I constantly am trying to beat my best ads. I look at ads and then I split test them logically. Like, for example, I've got all the same ads, but they've all got different images. So I'll run them for 2 weeks, have a look at that, and then find the best performing image, perform everything else, like pause everything else. And then I'll do like different headlines. And so literally just try to logically split test stuff and never stop trying to beat your best ad. Like think about what is the customer's psyche? What is the messaging that is working here? And then try to double down on that. Find your best performing ad and go, what elements of this ad is working so well? What can I test against this and try to beat it? So essentially never stop trying to create better ads.
Great advice. So if people need help with their marketing strategy, how can they get in touch with you?
They can find us through our website. So they can go to amplifybusinessprofit.com, and then we've got a contact form through that. Or if people want to just email directly, I'm Andrej at amplifybusinessprofit.com. So Andrej. Or you can find me, Andrej Brummer, on Facebook and friend me, and we can hang out and have a chat. But yeah, I recognize at this time, people are really worried. People think business has grinded to a halt, but ads are doing amazingly. For my biggest client in New Zealand is in a very, very highly competitive niche. And in the month leading up, in the month of March, like through all this COVID madness, we got a return of ad spend for 3.7 times for her. And so that was pretty good. We're pretty happy with that, and so was she. And that was like through all this stuff. But my best performing client, like in the last month, got a return on ad spend of 1,000%. So that's 10 times. And yes, these numbers are slightly lower than they have been in previous months, but they're still making good profits. And now we're seeing competition coming down, so their ad costs are going down too.
Awesome. If you can master the strategies now, or you'd be off to the races by the time we get into normality again.
Yeah, exactly. I think if you can kind of put stuff out there now and connect with people now, then when life returns to normal, you're going to be really good at it because you're going to know. So don't forget, the important things are humanizing your brand, talking about the people behind your brand, talking about what your brand does for the world. What can you do for people? That's what they want to see. And your first 3 lines should say, here's what I can do for you, because that's what people genuinely care about.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your advice and insight. And take care of yourself.
I will. You too.
Thank you.
Okay.